OBS is running. Okay, just to warn you, we might have to do this again tomorrow, but hopefully we won't get to that. This is
okay.
This should be a done deal.
All right.
Welcome to the first episode of the OUTTA Buddy Experience. We literally said the same sentence 2 years ago when you were in London. And yeah, that podcast idea didn't really materialize. Partially because the bar for podcasts were really high back then. You had to have a setup, full camera crew. But then after the pandemic, even Stephen Colbert, you do it on Zoom, and everyone's expectations of podcasting just went so down. I was like, okay, this is a good time for us to start doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, nice to have you again. How you been?
I've been good. It's good to be back with you. This time not in the flesh, but this is just as good.
Yeah.
But I've been good, man. I've been feeling really productive since the pandemic hit, because back when we first met up, I was actually in London on tour with another band. So now that the pandemic has hit, we don't tour anymore. So I've been able to really focus on my MORiLLO project, which is kind of what I've been wanting to do all along. And now that the pandemic has come around, it's kind of been like, all right, well, you can't tour, so you're home, and now you have the time to really to work on your own project. So it's been good in a lot of ways. As far as that, it's been really great, and I've been feeling really good and feeling productive and feeling like I'm making some of the best content that I've ever made right now. Yeah. So it's been nice.
And also, I guess you're not away from family the whole time touring, which is probably nice for them.
Totally. I mean, I live across on the other side of the country from my mom and my sister.
Oh yeah.
But I'm here with my girlfriend. I live with my girlfriend, who's now my fiance, actually.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yeah, so I've been. Yeah. So that's another great thing. We've been able to just be together, and it's been great.
Sweet. How's the pandemic down where you are? Is it crazy?
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. I mean, California is one of the worst, if not the worst, state for the pandemic in the States. My girlfriend's a nurse, so she works in the hospital, and there's been all kinds of. I keep calling her my girlfriend. I gotta get used to the fiance thing. Yeah, she's been in the hospital, and it's been pretty rough in the hospital. There's all these extra COVID units, or units that are converted into COVID units and stuff like that. So it's been pretty bad. I mean, thankfully we haven't had any real, anyone we know close, really affected too badly by it.
Mm-hmm.
But the news and everyone. The news saying it's really bad. So
yeah, I mean it's been the same here, really. I mean, I'm sure it's the same everywhere, but places like the UK and the US, there's a lot of testing. So other countries, you don't see how high the cases are, whereas here you're like, oh shit, this many million. But I'm sure in Brazil, it's probably more than here because of the population, but they don't do as much testing. But yeah, I mean,
I don't know if that's a good thing though. I mean, yeah, it's good to know, but it's scary to think that it's bad everywhere. You know what I mean? Even if we don't know the numbers, it's probably bad everywhere.
Yeah.
So.
I mean.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway, what?
Sorry, carry on. I was just gonna say, I mean, it's just consuming news has been a fucking headache in the last year. So just doing my best to not tune in at all. And also the Trump era, it was also it was kind of like smoking. It's bad for you, but you're also so hooked to it.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, thankfully we're past that, and hopefully onto better things and on a better trajectory.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, let's not talk too much about the pandemic. It's a little intense.
Yeah, true. Cool. I mean, let's talk about your album. You know, you sent it to me a while back, and yeah, I mean, I love the fact that last time you talked, you were saying how, you know, your bread and butter in terms of music was reggae, and this one I feel like really goes back to being mainly about reggae and dub music, but with a kind of signature MORiLLO sound to it. So do you want to tell me a little bit about the album and how it came about? What's different about it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely roots reggae music and like roots reggae dub music is kind of, I would say, like my first love as far as genre goes.
Mm-hmm.
I was really fascinated by, like, first of all, reggae music, but then once I kind of found, you know, people like King Tubby and Augustus Pablo and King Jammy and all the dub pioneers,
Mm-hmm.
that really like kind of like blew my mind, and it's just kind of stuck with me anytime I make music. That's just that those influences are always coming through. And I don't know, I mean, I think just being home and in my space, I just feel like I was really able to dive into what I really love about, you know, music and making music, and this album feels just more like me, even more so because of those influences.
Mm-hmm.
Because the album is definitely, there's a lot of reggae influences and dub influences. It's kind of like a dub record, you know. It's not necessarily like an EDM like banger record. It's pretty chill, like vibey, dubby, reggae vibes. Yeah,
It's definitely it's your most instrumental sounding one, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But did you do the drums on this? Because, you know, obviously for anyone who doesn't know, your main bread and butter is being a drummer. You've played with tons of big acts, actually. Do you want to name drop some people?
Yeah. I mean, I've been playing with a band called Rhye. It was like an R&B group, and then also a band called Groundation, which I'm sure a lot of people in Europe know about. They're pretty well known in the reggae world in Europe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's what's unique about my new record, Shades of Green, is one of my main focuses over quarantine was to really build up my drum recording capabilities in my studio here in Los Angeles.
Right.
Because I've always been like, so many people have always talked to me about this, and I've always wanted to do it, is to be able to like really properly record, you know, my drumming into the music that I make. Because, you know, you need a lot of gear, you need the space to do it, and I also needed to learn some new skills to make it sound good.
Yeah.
So that was like a huge project for me in 2020 throughout, you know, being in quarantine. And this record is kind of like the product of that, because I think like 7 out of 8 of the tunes I'm playing drums on them. And the acoustic drums kind of gives the music a different sound. It doesn't necessarily sound like your average like electronic album.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely has like a more organic sound to it, and I think the drums really are the reason for that.
Do you think, in terms of nailing kind of interesting grooves, not necessarily grooves that, you know, you're more comfortable producing, but grooves that sound a bit more different and unique, do you have more creativity playing what's humanly possible on your drum kit, or fucking around with on a DAW and making some weird like arpeggiated groove? Like, which one do you think gives you more unique creativity?
I mean, I think you can go either way.
Mm.
You know, it's kind of like whatever, for me, it's like kind of whatever is inspiring me for that song or whatever. But this album is definitely leaning towards the acoustic side of things, you know, because a couple of the songs when I was originally making them, I was making them with an electronic beat. And then I would go and I would kind of adapt it to my drums and kind of play along and then kind of create an actual humanly possible playable drum set groove on it. And so then once I recorded it, then it kind of like turned into this more human feel kind of thing. Yeah. Which was really fun for me, you know, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, I think maybe people also relate more to that human rhythm. You know, there's the oddballs probably like me who like things that sound super weird, but most people want to relate to the music, you know, and when it sounds very like human. I mean, obviously there's two sides of it, you know, you listen to I guess that's kind of the art of making kind of robotic electronic music, is how to make it sound human without them thinking it sounds human. So they think it sounds weird, but they can still relate to it on an instinctual level.
It's a spectrum, you know, and I think that there's tasteful ways of being on any side of the spectrum and anywhere in between, you know.
True.
You could be like super, quantized digital beats, electronic beats, and it could be really cool because that's kind of what it is. Yeah. And then with most music, you either like it or you don't, you know. Yeah. So, I think it's cool either way. This is just kind of something that I've wanted to explore more. So that's what this album is for me.
Do you think you're ever gonna perform them with live drums? You gonna have a setup where
maybe if the money is right.
True, that's a lot of gear to carry.
I mean, no, it's not just about the money, but as far as like, it's way easier to plug in a USB stick to a set of CDJs, especially if you're traveling. Oh yeah. When you're bringing drums around, it becomes like a whole different production when you got to bring. Yeah. Mic the drums up and get the drums to sound good with the electronic sounds, and it's definitely more of a project. So maybe one of these days, first we got to get shows back, so that's gotta happen.
That's a big hurdle right there.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to for sure.
Yeah, I mean, why not? But yeah. In terms of, I was thinking also in terms of collaborations. You have a bunch of them on this one. Evan Hatfield specifically, he's a sitar player. I've heard of him on here and there. I can't remember where, but he's been on a few collaborations in the scene.
Yeah, he's definitely coming up right now. I feel he's been very active on social media. Like he posts, videos of him playing sitar, and around his area in California. It's like really beautiful area. So I was connected to him through Jesse Bread, who's the founder of Gravitas Recordings. Mm-hmm. He just linked us up, and ever since we've been working a lot together because I personally love the sitar. I think it's a really great instrument, and I've always, sitar is something that you can't really create with like a software instrument.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It has to be the real thing for it to sound authentic and not cheesy, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So I was, really grateful to link up with Evan, and he's up to all kinds of stuff. He's got an album coming out soon, mm-hmm. And he's not only amazing at the sitar, he's just like an incredible all-around musician. He plays sax and keys and all kinds of instruments, and he's prolific for sure.
Nice. Actually, I was going to talk about the other artists, but while you mentioned Jesse from Gravitas, who you'll be releasing this album with, Yeah, I was, they're also one of our favorites on Shivelight because, we've been featuring for, quite a few years through Closey and even your previous stuff, discography mixes, the whole nine yards. How come you decided to release this album with them, except, the Evan Hatfield connection?
Well, I think it's just my last album that I released was through
Colibri or
Gravitas. Colibri, yeah, that was 2 years ago, and I released that album through Gravitas, and I decided to release this one with them too, just because I think mainly the reason is just because we have a good relationship going, and I think that's really important in the music industry is to have people that you work with regularly, to kind of to build, because nothing is gonna, no amount of success I don't think will come very quickly and easily. So I kind of made the decision to work with Gravitas on my bigger releases, like albums, just to try to build something with someone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
because Colibri was a great album. I love that album. It was kind of like my first album in a while. I hadn't put out a lot of music before that, so it did pretty well, but it didn't wow me and oh wow, so many people heard this album. So with this second album, I'm just wanting to build off of that momentum with them, and just build it up even more. And they're incredible team. They're super organized, and they just get everything.
That's one thing I was gonna say. They're definitely one of the most organized labels that we work with, and trying to get people obviously don't, because we don't. This is the first time we're doing anything that's related to Shivelight that's got one of our faces in it, and we're always in touch with artists and labels, and trying to build these connections also to streamline what we do, because we always try to do something with the artwork from that release, or every time we try to do something bespoke, and almost unless you're a big chill hop level channel, you don't really have the funds to do something like that, so we just have to do everything ourselves. But so in the amount of time it takes to curate everything, it's really important that the labels that we work with, they understand that, and they're helpful getting us the correct files or whatever. And Kaylin and Jesse, both of them, they've always been super easy to work with. So I mean, you definitely wouldn't need a label, because where you are at with your you're not a small-time producer anymore. You regularly play in festivals. You got a decent Spotify following, and you've done sync opportunities with GoPro. Scoring their ads, and your SoundCloud's popping off, and obviously even for you, there's no need to really release with a label. So, for people who are listening, there's always this question of, whether I should be independent or not. Obviously, you said, release, you're making a connection outside of, whatever you're doing yourself is important. But do you think there's any other reason that people should be releasing with labels, or are we becoming obsolete as labels, or?
No, I mean, I think that it's important. There's a few things. One is I believe that it makes the release just feel and look more official. When you're working with people, you're creating community, and you're creating a bigger family around whatever release. You're not just doing it yourself. It's it feels more like a group effort, I think, for the artist releasing the music, and also for people, watching and listening to the album. It feels more like, oh, wow, these people believe in this project, and it's a team effort putting it out. And I think that's valuable.
Do you think it gives you more responsibility as well to, be on time and just trying to do your best, rather than if you're just doing a self-releasing album, you could take years because there's no one pushing you.
Totally. And yeah, that's something that I think a lot of people have trouble with that, knowing when something is finished or not.
Oh yeah.
And then also the other thing I was going to say, it's just you have more resources, when you have more people involved, a label or, other people just helping, even if it's not a label, even if it's just like your friend who's like your manager, you just have more resources. They know people and,
yeah,
you're just creating more buzz, I guess. And, the labels can help with things that maybe you don't have the resources to do, So I think it's definitely beneficial to work with people as opposed to independent releases.
You've been doing the MORiLLO project for what, like 6-7 years now? More?
Since like 2014.
The one with hieroglyphics, was that the first EP, or was it the one before?
That was the second EP. The first EP was
with
Hatfield.
with Muti music.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been working on a guest mix for Shivelight with Muti music. Well, not guest mix. I'm mixing my favorites from their discography, and I've picked two songs.
Yeah, with Dove.
Yeah, I mean, two of those songs from that EP are still gonna be on there, and
oh, cool.
It's surprising how well some of those productions actually stand up. Especially Bangalore was on that EP, right?
Yeah.
Like the production on that.
Dove, yeah, Muti is a great label. Dove is he's kind of like the guy who runs Muti. DOV is his Dove. DOV. He's an incredible guy. He's like one of the nicest dudes I think in the scene. And he's been DJing and doing the thing for many years. So he's got the ear, and he knows. He definitely has a good. He's an OG for sure. He's got the ear. He he's put out Mimosa when Mimosa was like really coming out and popping off. And, he's been going to Burning Man like for years. So he's seen all the Bass Nectar sets on the Playa and stuff. Probably.
Yeah, I was looking at his their discography when I was trying to pick the songs, and they have stuff with like Sizzla, like big time reggae artists. And I was like,
I wanted to be on that release. When he put that out, I was like, damn, I want to be part of that.
Yeah, that was quite a random one, but it goes to show like everyone's kind of synced in terms of creative value. Reggae heads are always gonna reggae.
Well, I mean, bass music and this world of bass music and non-house electronic music, it's very deeply rooted in reggae music and bassline culture and sound system culture. So I think most people that are drawn to this music are probably down with some reggae and dub music as well.
Yeah, and the people who are into the house music side of things, they don't know that that stuff also comes from this stuff. So they don't know how much they would love their like the deep dub. I mean, yeah, it's dub. I think last time we talked about this as well, how dub doesn't get enough credit for, like original reggae dub, the Lee Scratch Perry type thing doesn't get enough recognition for the impact it had on all of electronic music, essentially.
Totally, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some great documentaries out there on YouTube and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's as time goes on, it gets older and older, and the youth, the younger people coming up and partying in the world of electronic music, they're young and they don't really know. And they're not going to know unless someone educates them or something.
Yeah, true.
So yeah, and it's maybe important to say that it depends on what kind of drugs you're doing, maybe, that determines what kind of music you like.
Yeah.
Or what kind of music you're partying to.
Or what kind of personality you have that leads you to taking the type of drugs that you take, which leads you to...
yeah.
But yeah, I mean... I think reggae is the one that even if you're a kid, like a Bob Marley song comes on, and all the kids are like, no kid's gonna be like, this sucks, you know?
Right. Yeah.
You gotta be a
Right.
especially like angry kid to think Bob Marley sucks, but
Totally.
and I would sign that kid on the label to produce the most devastating music there is out there.
Yeah.
I was gonna. Well, I mean, I jumped into the collabs, but if you want to just briefly say like what other collabs are on the album and what's special about them.
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, there's the Evan one on sitar. That song is called Secrets. And then the next track is the single that we released last week called Champion Sound.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a collaboration with a Canadian producer, Prism. And he's just a super talented, up and coming like trap bass producer who I just kind of came across his music online and really dug the grooves that he used in his tracks and the sounds, and they kind of like had like a very like current sound. His sound is very current and like in the forefront of like what the new bass music sounds like, in my opinion. The newest version of bass music and trap music, not necessarily dubstep, more like trap. And I just hit him up because I just want that influence in my music a little bit. So we've done 2 tracks together now, and they're both really dope in my opinion. And then the next track is called Dreamland with this Los Angeles-based singer. Her name is Talia Benson. She's just this woman I've known from LA, just being around LA and the community here, who's just a super talented, beautiful singer. And we've just been wanting to collaborate for a long time. So I had this track, Dreamland, which kind of had this like ethereal vibe to it, and thought that she would be perfect to just kind of add a top layer of like just beautiful female vocals on top, which is what she did, and super happy with that.
Yeah, that's a great
also
track.
Thanks, man. Also in Dreamland, there is a buddy of mine, Miguel, who I knew from college. After college, he moved to Egypt and was living in Egypt for like 10 years. And while he was there, he picked up the lyre. I don't know if you know what a lyre is.
The old Lydian. It's like it's a string instrument, right? It's like an early guitar.
It's an old, like one of the first instruments. It's like kind of a triangle, and it has like 5 strings, and you play it like this. Anyway, he plays that. And so he played the lyre on that track as well, which is really
okay.
cool.
I need to listen to it again with that in mind, because
the strings, you hear these like string, it almost sounds like a harp. That's fun. Yeah,
it's crazy how like knowing something like that it just makes a song so much more interesting. Like if you hear the same sounds and you go back to, you're like, oh, this dude went to Egypt for 10 years, and it's like, first of all, why did this dude go to Egypt for 10 years? Who does that? And then it comes back with this crazy ancient instrument, and he's, it just makes it so much more. I mean, that's actually one of the reasons we wanted to do this. Just to give people an idea, for example, it's easy to put a little Hindi sample in there, but there's a difference when, someone's a connoisseur of world music rather than like a colonizing approach to world music,
Right. Yeah, and a lot of these world instruments and ethnic instruments, you can't recreate them. They have to be actually played by someone who knows how to play them, or else, it just doesn't sound the same. So yeah, the lyre on Dreamland is really cool. So if you check that song out and hear like a string harp sound, that's my buddy playing the lyre. What's next? King of Kings, and then Shades of Green. Those are just tracks by me, not collaborations. And then there's a track called One and then $2, one money money. That's a collaboration with a buddy of mine here in LA. His name's Danny G.
Mm-hmm.
He's just kind of like a
G
producer, DJ, badass acrobat dancer dude who just kind of like has great taste when it comes to like funky world influenced DJ dance music.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of like, he's just, we just been friends for a while. I always wanted to collaborate. And then I had this track and I sent it over to him and he added some really dope like dance hall samples and just like it gave it like an overall cool Danny G vibe.
Oh yeah.
And so, yeah, man, that one, that's a really cool track. I'm really happy with the drums on that track, actually. I feel like the drums really brought that track to life because they're pretty active.
Is that the one that's like 105 BPM? Just the odd one out of the...
Yeah, it's 105 BPM, so it's a little different groove, and it's definitely an interesting vibe and groove, and lots of like tom-toms and cool rhythms. So yeah, that one's a cool track. I really like that one as well. Yeah, those are all the collaborations on the record.
Yeah, I really enjoyed listening to all of them. It was really fun to mix them. Sometimes you listen to an album and you're like, okay, this is not gonna mix at all. But these ones, I didn't even do anything too crazy. I just linked the ends and I was like, okay, this works, and yeah, it all worked. So
yeah, I love the way you mix them. You kind of you mix them in ways that I maybe wouldn't have, which I was happily surprised about. It sounds great.
Oh, glad you like it. I hope people who listen to it also like it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to ask you two more things.
Can you hear that?
Gunshot.
All good. It's not coming for me.
I thought your mixtape was way too fire, and the cops pull up. Yeah, I was going to say two last things. Firstly, which will kind of be the lastly, is like what's next for you and what's lined up.
Yeah, a lot of great things. I mean, I'm really excited. There's some more tracks coming out. Definitely after this album, I'm going to be more focused on singles again, and I actually did like 3 or 4 remixes for some people after I kind of completed producing this record, just because it felt like I wanted to make more music, but it's a little less pressure when you're just kind of remixing someone's music because the content is kind of already there. You just kind of got to rearrange it and do a different version. So I actually did a really cool remix for Evan Hatfield.
Okay.
One from him from his new album. One a remix of Grand Tapestry, which is also a Gravitas release.
Yeah.
Which features
Alam Khan and Eli.
Music. Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to Alam. I did a written interview, but I had a chat with him on Skype once. He's a son of Ali Akbar Khan. He's like he's literally OG, like as OG as it gets in terms of Hindustani music. And Eli's underground king, LA underground king. They don't have Solar on drums this time, which is a bit different. So I think Eli produced this one, right?
I think so, yeah. Because it's mainly beats. But yeah, I remixed their track Believe, which is a really cool track, and I'm really happy with the remix. And then, so yeah, I got some singles and remixes. And then I got some merch coming up.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
This is a shade hoodie.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, so I'm stoked. This is my first round of merch stuff that I'll be putting out. And then the last thing that I'm excited about is this past week, I went out to Malibu, which if you don't know, is like one of the most beautiful coastlines in the States. It's just California, cliffside beach, beautiful.
Is that like the classic California dream kind of scenery?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I went out there with a buddy of mine who is an incredible drone pilot, and we kind of like renegade set up a DJ set on the beach during sunset, and it's like a 30-minute basically like movie, like musical movie live performance thing.
Oh yeah.
It's turned out like I'm getting the chills thinking about it. It turned out so incredible because it was like incredible day, like no clouds in the sky, like beautiful sunset, and just all these like epic drone shots while I'm DJing. And so that'll be coming out sometime soon as well, which I'm excited about.
Sweet. I mean, I doubt it'll be better production than this podcast, but I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
This is great too. I got this dope podcast coming out also.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Last one is like a random question that I actually heard on a different podcast. I can't remember what it was, but it might have been like a comedian or something. I thought it was a cool question to ask people. Is who's your most surprising fan you've ever had? Like, who have you heard?
The surprising fan.
Like, who have you heard? It's like, oh shit, this guy likes my music, or you see someone like post it somewhere or whatever.
I don't know if it's a one person in particular. I think my answer would be like a group of people, and those people would be people in Israel, in Tel Aviv. Like once I kind of started getting wind that a lot of people were listening and playing my music and like ecstatic dances in Tel Aviv and around Israel, I was really proud. I was like, wow, that's cool, just because I'm Jewish and I've been to Israel a bunch of times and I love it there, and it feels like epic to me. They're like, oh wow, they're playing my music in Israel. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like a homecoming pride,
A little bit, yeah, something.
Like if I knew someone was playing my like Persian beats in like Iran, with the Persian beats I haven't really made yet, but I'd be like, oh shit, they're bumping my music back home, and it's that's some Iran Israel peace unity shit we're ending on, which is pretty dope.
Awesome.
We need more of that. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you like to mention? Any other shout-outs? The artwork.
Oh yeah.
Who did the artwork? Do they deserve a shout-out?
Yeah, absolutely. His name is Matthew Andres. His Instagram tag is Work the Angle. Mm-hmm. He's a Canadian photographer, artist, who I just found online, and I knew what I wanted to call this album, Shades of Green, and I was kind of looking for some sort of foliage, greenery, and I found the piece that he created online, and I was just like, that's it. But yeah, he takes photographs of nature basically, and oftentimes he just kind of makes them look beautiful, but he has a series where he kind of creates kaleidoscopic images of the nature. So definitely shout out to him. I'm like obsessed with this artwork. I've printed it on t-shirts and on blankets, and I just love it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, for sure.
We'll definitely have to when we upload it, we'll link. Is your merch out yet, or is it going to be out soon?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet, but
well, whenever it's out, just let me know. We'll obviously add it to the link on this one and on the
video.
Actually,
you know what? There are some T-shirts linked to the Bandcamp.
Okay.
Where you can, the link to buy the album on Bandcamp. There's also 2 pieces of merch there.
Sweet. Well,
Yeah.
this is if this editing of this first one, as soon as I press stop record, if everything went well, obviously we'll put this up on Thursday, and then
Cool.
Friday we will be, doing a premiere of the whole album on Shivelight. Around what time should we do it, by the way? Around similar time is good, or a little bit late, like maybe.
This is a great time. I mean, for as far as the States goes, this is a good time. Anywhere between 9 a.m. to noon on in the U.S.
Cool. Yeah, I mean it's good for us because it'll start getting late, and our European peeps will miss it. So, should we a seven?
It's definitely a good. It's definitely a good late night album to listen to. Kind of just put on when you're
True.
just chilling out and vibing out.
True.
It's great for that. Yeah.
So it's gonna be 7 o'clock in 4 minutes. It's gonna be 11 there.
Yep.
Should we do that time then? Friday.
Yeah, it's great.
Cool.
Sounds good.
So
Yeah.
Friday, 11 o'clock Pacific time and 7 o'clock GMT. We'll be doing a premiere of Mr. MORiLLO's Shades of Green album. And yeah, thanks for being the first guest again. And hopefully this time this actually will go live.
It's a pleasure, man. It's great to see you, and it's great to talk with you, and I always appreciate the link with you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, say congratulations to your fiance as well, and hope COVID and
Thanks,
everything
man.
goes well.
Yeah, man. For us, for everyone's sake, I hope COVID goes well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There it is.